Okay, we're back with Senator Monning, moving into our second session here of questions. Senator, our next question here, and again, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. The question we have is, are there programs and or funding available through the state of California to help small businesses during this time?
There are a number of programs up and running right now, Mark, and I encourage people to access the agency websites that may be available. I'll mention some of them in our earlier segment. I did mention the unemployment insurance benefits available to laid off employees. This also now extends to self-employed so-called gig workers who didn't used to traditionally be covered by unemployment insurance benefits, but with the federal stimulus, the CARES Act 1, somebody who has been self-employed can also apply through our Employment Development Department, EDD. You can just Google EDD and file an application, even without prior employment or payroll information. You can self-declare that you are now out of work because of COVID-19 and be eligible for both California unemployment insurance benefits and the federal supplement to that. For small business owners, of course, there's the Small Business Administration at the federal level. We've learned just this week that those funds were expended rapidly. Some of it seemed to go to larger employers and companies around the nation, but there's now the second phase of that. It is a federal program. But we have some local resources. Based in Salinas is the Cal Coastal Development Corporation. That's available to people in Santa Clara County to get information and support for small business loans. The state of California also has some limited resources for low interest or no interest loans to small business owners. I think the Cal Coastal Development Corporation is a good hub or service link. For agricultural folks, FarmLink, based in Santa Cruz County, is also a loan-making entity and can provide farmers, small farmers, with information about support during the COVID-19 crisis. So FarmLink in Santa Cruz County, Cal Coastal Development Corporation, based in Salinas, and then the state agencies, Employment Development Agency, and the Small Business Agency in the governor's office.
Very good. That's helpful information. Thank you for that. Now, on January 1st of 2021, California's minimum wage will increase another $1 per hour. There's so many bills and orders deferring rent payments, evictions, etc. What's the likelihood that the California State Legislature would consider deferring for at least 1 year the minimum wage increase?
Well, I think it'll certainly be considered. I think the context for this conversation, anything budget related at this point or policy related that impacts the state budget, is going to be under extreme scrutiny. In January, Governor Newsom introduced a proposed budget for 2021 of about $215 billion. We will get a May revise available on May 14th, just in a couple of weeks, that will make adjustments to those projections based on the best information we have. Our revenue engines have all been paused or paralyzed. Personal income tax payment delayed until July. Sales tax has taken a huge hit. Capital gains tax has been basically non-existent, and corporate tax. Those are the main revenue engines for the state. They've all been paralyzed. We could go from a $200 billion budget to a $100 billion budget. That means schools get cut in half. That means every other program in the state gets cut. So you add to that mosaic of really recessionary budgeting, the question of providing some relief to employers on implementation of the planned increase in minimum wage. I think what we will see will be one of the indicators there is the rate at which former employees who have been laid off are able to be rehired, and will they stay dependent on unemployment insurance benefits with federal supplements, or will there be a pathway back to employment and a paycheck? Certainly the recommendation of the chamber to suspend or relax the implementation date for the increase of minimum wage could be looked at through the lens that could lead to more people being rehired more quickly. I think that would be the argument to advance to the government, to the governor, and to the legislature as to one of the potential broad-based economic benefits. But as we talk today, Mark, of course, I can't say that will be acted upon by the state legislature. I can certainly be a voice to carry that concern as a member of our state budget committee.
I appreciate that answer, Senator. And I will definitely follow up with you after this discussion and our other representatives to make sure that is something that could be considered and give some relief to our small businesses during this recovery period. Senator, do you have any recommendations for business owners and operators struggling during this COVID crisis?
Well, again, I think the advice is I recognize in the 17th Senate District the huge number of businesses that have had to close, others that have tried to be creative to maintain some source of income. One program that the governor just announced for restaurant owners is a program that would compensate restaurant owners who are producing deliverable food that is healthful food to seniors to be reimbursed at a rate of $66 per meal delivered to somebody in one of the high-risk categories for COVID-19. The details of this program are being worked out, but I would say for restaurant owners who can produce a healthful, nutritious menu for delivery, that can be an immediate source of at least temporary relief with a state of California payment program for that. More broadly, beyond the restaurant industry, other small business owners, owners can be helpful to their employees, making sure they're aware of their eligibility to apply for unemployment insurance benefits. For the small business owners themselves, I mentioned earlier some of the programs for farmers through FarmLink, through small business loans, Cal Coastal Development Corporation. I encourage exploring those. Our federal representatives' offices representing Santa Clara County, there's at least 2 representatives who touch southern Santa Clara County, Zoe Lofgren and Jimmy Panetta. Their offices can be helpful in accessing federal support. That's all monetary. I think on the health front, it's also important for small business owners to recognize that they are part of the solution. Any movement to reopen businesses, abiding by social distancing, wearing masks. You know, a lot of people think wearing masks is to protect ourselves. The mask really protects others from our projection of germs should we be infected and carrying, but maybe not aware of it. So we see people walking for their exercise, some with masks, some without masks. The people without masks, it's really an insult to the people wearing masks are doing it out of respect for everyone else. So someone who chooses, I don't really need to wear a mask, they're being disrespectful to the rest of the community. I think business owners can set the standard as businesses get a timetable from the governor for reopening, abiding by those as being recognized as the best public health practices and enforcing it in their places of business with their workers and co-workers will be critical to a successful reopening of our economy.
Thank you, Senator. That ends our second session here, and we'll be back in just a few seconds to end our final session with you. Again, we appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you.